Let's talk time for a minute here. Do you have less of it or more of it? Time? On any given day, do you have less time or more time? Well, we all have the same 24 hours, each of us. So, why is it that some people complain all the time of having less time, while others seem to have no time issues at all with their life and their work? How does this time thing work anyway? Here are some points, just 5 points for you to consider. Just think about it. Maybe minutes, maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe years, even decades. You decide. Number one, time, so far as the clock goes, is the same for all, of course. But our sense and perception of time, or how we feel it is always relative to many things. Our astrology, our psychology, and so on. Where the mind tends to dwell at any given moment is dictating your sense of time. Every individual has plenty of time. No matter what, you hear them complain endlessly about having no time on their hands. In fact, it's just the opposite. They have too much time on their hands. Everyone has. I don't have time for this or that is typically what they mean is their time is being spent in a lot of BS, worrying and obsessing about unnecessary stuff going on in their lives maybe. But the fact remains, they do have time and a lot of it. It's just not being used properly, be it personal or work or otherwise. On the contrary, if they say I have too much time, which is rare these days, this is good news. It means they are waking up to the idea of the truth of time itself, which is there is too much time he or she has and doesn't know what to do with it. Number two, time is an individual perception and also a collective one. The collective measurement of time is the clock. It is the measurement of the movement of the sun. The personal and collective ones are very different in nature. The movement of sun dictates your biology, your circadian rhythms within the body, the hormones, the sleep, the hunger, and so on and so forth. Time has the movement of the sun, dictates all biology of every sentient being. Even elementals like water, air, and earth are dictated by time, as the movement of the sun. Even the wind moves with the movement of the sun. So although time has an individual perception, it is also a collective one, since each is living each day differently. So it is always individual and yet always relatively collectively speaking as to how a person is feeling, sensing, being aware, conscious, etc. So even in a personal sense, time is always relative. Sometimes it moves fast, other times slow. Nothing is good or bad here, it's just the sense and perception of time, individually and collectively. There is no meaning in qualitative measurement of personal sense of time. Don't try to measure your sense of time, it will keep changing. That's the nature of time, is to change. And even the perception of time keeps changing. Number three, time management. For you, personally in your work, therefore, means a balancing act between the clock measurement of time versus your own personal sense and perception of time. It is really that simple. Some days when you are feeling time as stretched out and slow, but your boss wants that silly report on the desk like yesterday, those become tricky, isn't it? There is no ideal way to manage this balance since you as an individual are so dynamic in your personal energy movement, and the others are so dynamic in their collective energy movement. You work in the collective, where each one has their own sense too. So as a general rule, I have found, which works most of the time, whenever you have a slow sense of time, you feel slow today, you feel the time is being stretched out, minutes become hours, I suggest you attend to those tasks which require analysis, deep thinking, deeper research, involvement of the mind, deep involvement of the mind. Because mind tends to do that better in a slow time mode of operation. On the other hand, if you have routine task procedures, things that typically require filling up forms and that kind of a dumb thing, which require little or no brain work, you can keep doing that while you are in a fast sense of time in your mind. Number 4, time management as a leader or supervisor of your task force becomes quite different. Now you are dealing with a whole bunch of humans. Each individual is dynamic from day to day. At this level, you are best served by studying the cycles of time sense that each one of your people is having or going through every day. Who is fast today? Who is slow today on any given day? How to allocate tasks accordingly to them and check the intellect, check the analytical capability, check their depth. Time has everything to do with depth within, breadth of availability externally, depth internally, breadth externally. If you can manage this breadth and depth of time externally and internally, you can manage your team members very well. You can work with your team since you are appreciative of how the waves of time are perceived individually. There is no sense in rushing or expediting or pressurizing your people. Each one is comfortable within their own bubble of time. Each one functions well in that bubble of time and according to their capacity. Number 5. Management of your personal sense of time is more achievable only with meditative exercises. This is my personal experience with time. Okay, you can realize just how much time you really have at hand. Meaning, if you truly desire to experience the huge quantum of time you have in your hand, to experience life in whatever way you wish, meditative exercises are the quickest way to get into that space. And the one I find convenient and usable in any place, even in a meeting room with 40 people, is to take your attention to the body, away from the head, towards any organ below the neck. And I suggest you focus on the center of your chest or your belly. When you consciously move your attention out of your head to the chest center or to the belly center, very soon it will become obvious to you that thoughts have gone to nil. For your mind has no energy to keep spinning in thoughts. Do it just for a few minutes in a day. Get into pure awareness, minus all the thoughts. And you will find that time has no meaning now. Mind knows only time as it fluctuates and passes and oscillates between past and future all the time. And when that energy is taken away from the head to the center of the chest or belly center, it disappears, apparently, and making your personal sense of time expand by 100-fold. Try it. Suddenly there is plenty of time. In fact, so much of it, now you might think, what to do with so much time on my hands?